Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Have your legs ever cramped in the middle of the night so suddenly that it felt like the muscle was twisting from the inside out? Do you sometimes feel exhausted, even after sleeping? Your heart flutters occasionally. Your eyelid twitches. You feel anxious for no clear reason. Your hands feel weak opening jars that used to be easy. And lately, your body just doesn't feel as steady, calm, or resilient as it used to. Most people blame aging. But what if part of the problem isn't simply getting older? What if your body is quietly running low on something so important that hundreds of reactions inside you depend on it every single day? And what if the warning signs are so common, most people never connect them together? Because there's a nutritional problem hiding in plain sight. One that affects people of all ages, but hits adults over 60 especially hard. Magnesium deficiency. Not the dramatic kind that sends someone to the emergency room overnight. The slow kind. The silent depletion that builds over years. Sometimes decades. And by the time symptoms become obvious, the body has often been struggling for a very long time. Tonight, we're going inside the human body to understand what magnesium actually does. Why so many older adults are unknowingly running low, the habits quietly draining it, and the simple foods and lifestyle changes that may help restore what the body has been missing. Because sometimes the body isn't failing. Sometimes it's asking for support. And magnesium may be one of the most overlooked signals of all. And one thing continues to surprise me over the years. People will spend years searching for answers to fatigue, muscle problems, poor sleep, headaches, anxiety, weakness, constipation, heart palpitations, and even brain fog, while one of the body's most important minerals barely gets mentioned. Not because magnesium is trendy. Because it's foundational. It helps regulate nerves, muscles, blood sugar, blood pressure, energy production, sleep regulation, and even how calm or stressed your nervous system feels. In fact, magnesium is involved in hundreds of biochemical reactions throughout the body. Yet many people don't get enough consistently, especially older adults. And the reasons are more complicated than most people realize. A few years ago, I met a retired school bus driver named Harold. Harold was 72 years old. Hardworking, quiet, practical. He wasn't looking for miracle cures. He simply wanted to feel normal again. He told me he was exhausted almost every afternoon. His sleep had become lighter and more broken. His legs cramped at night. His hands occasionally trembled. And every so often, his heart would suddenly race or skip beats for a few seconds. His doctors checked his heart. They adjusted medications. They ran standard blood work. Most things looked normal. And that's part of the problem. Because magnesium deficiency can hide in plain sight. Only a tiny percentage of the body's magnesium is floating in the bloodstream. Most of it is stored inside cells, bones, muscles, and tissues. So someone can have normal blood levels, while their tissues are gradually becoming depleted. That doesn't mean every symptom is caused by magnesium. Far from it. But in Harold's case, there were clues everywhere. Years of chronic stress. Heavy coffee intake. Frequent antacid use for acid reflux. Processed foods. Low vegetable intake. Poor sleep. And perhaps most importantly, aging itself. As we age, the body often absorbs nutrients less efficiently. Appetite changes. Medications increase. Digestive function shifts. Kidney regulation changes. Muscle mass declines. It becomes easier to lose magnesium, and harder to rebuild it. Once Harold began changing a few daily habits. Improving magnesium-rich foods, reducing processed meals, improving hydration, and working with his physician on supplement safety, some things slowly began improving. Not overnight. That's important. This isn't magic. But over months, his nighttime cramps became less frequent. His sleep improved. His energy became steadier. He felt calmer. More stable. And this is where magnesium becomes fascinating. Because deficiency rarely looks dramatic at first. It often whispers before it screams. To understand why, we need to look at what magnesium is actually doing inside the body every second of the day. Imagine your body as a giant electrical city. Your nerves are like electrical wiring. Your muscles are like engines. Your heart is a precision pump. Your brain is a communication center firing signals constantly. Now imagine magnesium as one of the body's great stabilizers. It helps nerves fire correctly. It helps muscles contract and relax. It helps regulate calcium movement inside cells. It helps convert food into usable energy. Without enough magnesium, the system becomes more irritable. Muscles tighten more easily. Nerves become more excitable. Sleep becomes lighter. Stress hits harder. Energy production becomes less efficient. It's almost like the body loses some of its ability to stay calm and balanced. And older adults often feel this first. Sometimes it starts with muscle cramps. Not just occasional cramps after exercise. We're talking nighttime leg cramps that wake people from sleep. Tight calves. Foot spasms. Muscle twitching around the eyes. That's because magnesium helps muscles relax after contraction. When levels drop, muscles may stay overly tense and reactive. Then there's fatigue. Not simply, I had a busy day fatigue. A deeper kind. The kind where people wake up tired. Where climbing stairs feels harder than it should. Where the body feels drained despite rest. That's because magnesium is deeply involved in ATP production, the process that creates usable cellular energy. Every heartbeat, every nerve signal, every muscle movement. Energy is required for all of it. And magnesium helps make that possible. Then there's sleep. Millions of older adults struggle with sleep disruptions. They fall asleep exhausted, only to wake repeatedly through the night. Part of this involves stress hormones and nervous system regulation. Magnesium appears to play a role in calming certain neural pathways and supporting relaxation. Again, not as a sedative. Not as a cure. But as part of the body's larger balance system. And then there's something many people never connect to magnesium at all. Mood. Irritability. Feeling on edge. Increased stress sensitivity. The nervous system relies heavily on mineral balance. Chronic deficiency may affect how the brain and nervous system respond to stress signals. And modern life may be making this worse. Because many daily habits quietly drain magnesium from the body. One of the biggest is chronic stress. When the body is constantly in fight or flight mode, stress hormones rise. Over time, this can influence magnesium regulation and excretion. In simple terms, stress may help drain the very mineral that helps the body cope with stress in the first place. A vicious cycle. Then there's processed food. Many Americans consume calories, but not enough nutrient density. Highly processed meals are often lower in magnesium compared to whole foods like beans, greens, seeds, nuts, and legumes. And modern agriculture may also play a role. Some research suggests soil depletion has reduced mineral content in certain foods compared to decades ago. Then there are medications. This is a major issue in older adults. Certain diuretics, acid reflux medications, and other commonly prescribed drugs may affect magnesium levels or absorption in some people. Not everyone should stop medications. Absolutely not. But it does mean people should be aware and discuss concerns with their healthcare provider, especially if symptoms appear. Alcohol can also increase magnesium loss. So can poorly controlled diabetes. Excessive soda intake may contribute as well. And surprisingly, even too much calcium without balance may sometimes create mineral imbalance issues. The body depends on balance. Not megadoses of one thing. And this is where many people misunderstand nutrition entirely. Health is rarely about one miracle nutrient. It's about systems working together. Magnesium interacts with potassium, calcium, vitamin D, protein intake, kidney function, hydration, movement, sleep. The body is an orchestra, not a single instrument. Now here's something important. Magnesium deficiency doesn't only affect older adults. Younger people experience it too. Teenagers living on ultra-processed foods. Adults under chronic stress. People surviving on energy drinks and fast food. Individuals with digestive disorders. But aging increases vulnerability. Because older adults often have multiple overlapping risk factors happening at once. Less dietary intake. Reduced absorption. Medication use. Lower muscle reserves. higher inflammation, poor sleep, reduced appetite. And when magnesium status declines slowly over years, symptoms may simply be blamed on getting older. But sometimes the body is struggling nutritionally in ways nobody investigated deeply. Now let's talk about one of the most important questions. Where can magnesium actually be found naturally? Because despite all the supplement marketing online, many magnesium-rich foods are surprisingly ordinary. Pumpkin seeds are among the richest sources. Almonds, cashews, black beans, spinach, Swiss chard, avocados, oatmeal, edamame, peanuts, dark chocolate with high cocoa content. Even simple habits matter. Adding beans to soup, a handful of nuts instead of chips, more leafy greens during dinner, replacing ultra-processed snacks with real foods. This area needs honesty and caution. Some people may benefit from magnesium supplementation under medical guidance, especially if intake is poor or risk factors are present. But more is not always better. Different forms behave differently in the body. Some are more likely to affect digestion. Others are absorbed differently. And people with kidney disease or certain medical conditions must be especially careful, because excess magnesium can become dangerous when the body cannot clear it properly. This is why personalized medical guidance matters. The internet often turns nutrients into miracle cures. Real biology is more nuanced than that. Still, one thing is becoming increasingly clear from nutritional research. Long-term nutrient insufficiency may quietly affect quality of life in ways people don't immediately recognize, especially during aging. And magnesium may be one of the clearest examples. Because when you look closely at many symptoms older adults complain about, muscle tension, fatigue, weakness, poor sleep, stress sensitivity, constipation, irregular heart sensations, magnesium appears again and again as part of the conversation. Not necessarily the only cause, but an important piece of the puzzle. There's also growing interest in magnesium's relationship with blood sugar regulation and cardiovascular health. Magnesium helps support insulin function and vascular tone. Researchers continue exploring how low magnesium status may intersect with metabolic health, inflammation, and aging-related disease processes. Again, this doesn't mean magnesium alone prevents disease, but it reinforces something important. The body depends on adequate nutritional support to function properly over time, especially under the stress of aging. And perhaps one of the biggest lessons here is this. Deficiency doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like feeling off for years. The body adapts, compensates, pushes through, until eventually the strain becomes harder to ignore. Which is why prevention matters so much. Not waiting until health collapses, but supporting the body before the warning signs become louder. That means prioritizing nutrient-dense foods, better sleep, stress management, movement, hydration, regular medical checkups, medication reviews. Simple things, often neglected things. But over years, those small decisions accumulate. And if you're over 60 watching this right now, here's what I want you to remember. Feeling older is normal. But suffering unnecessarily should never automatically be accepted as inevitable. The body changes with age. That's true. But the body also remains remarkably adaptive. Cells continue repairing. Nerves continue responding. Muscles continue rebuilding. The brain continues changing, even later in life. And sometimes improvement begins not with a dramatic intervention, but with finally giving the body something it quietly needed all along. So if you've been experiencing persistent cramps, unexplained fatigue, poor sleep, muscle twitching, weakness, or chronic stress overload, it may be worth having a deeper conversation with your healthcare provider about nutrition, medications, and magnesium status. Not because magnesium is a miracle, but because the basics matter more than most people realize. And in modern health conversations, the basics are often forgotten. Your body speaks in signals. The question is whether we're listening early enough. If this video connected with your experience, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever dealt with muscle cramps, fatigue, poor sleep, or stress that seem to come out of nowhere? And if you know someone over 60 constantly struggling with these symptoms, share this video with them. Because sometimes awareness becomes the first step toward better health. And sometimes the smallest missing piece changes more than people expect. Share your experience in the comments.